Hi, everybody. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Wanted to let you all know that this is being recorded. Yes, it is being recorded, and we'll be sending out the recording to everyone that's on afterwards. So I'm giving everyone a chance to come on board. We're seeing lots of participants coming on right now. And we will be posting this recording to LinkedIn and our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page and the Facebook page for the next steps. I'm sure that Scott will share this and others. I'm not sure. I don't see everybody. So please know that all the lines will be muted during this discussion. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box and type them into the chat box or raise your hand, and we'll unmute you so you can speak. So I'm going to try to get everyone on here. All right, let's get Scott going here. Hold on a second. There we go. Hang in there. Thank you for your patience. Got it. Okay, now we're talking. Thanks for your patience, everyone. There's Scott. Scott, you're unmuted.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for your patience and understanding. Again, for those that didn't hear me, we are going to record this. We are recording it, and it is going to be available on the Next Steps LinkedIn page and also our Facebook page. I'll make sure that Scott has it so he can share it with his folks, and then you can share it with anyone. So feel free. So thank you for coming on to this meeting. We're really it's very casual, informal. Scott and I discussed it, and we thought that it would be great to get online and get into a meeting for other membership professionals and other association professionals, basically, to come in and talk about what's going on with this crisis. And that's what we're here for. Scott, do you have any comments that you want to start out with?
I mean, the first and obvious question is, I'm glad everybody could join us. I hope everybody and everybody's are safe and healthy right now. I know that this has been just crazy nutty, but I think that even though there is so much going on, I just want to throw out there that I hope that everybody is safe, and that if this is impacting you or your family or your friends directly, that, better things are ahead, and I hope that everybody stays well as much as they possibly can right about now.
Agreed, and I really feel it's such a it's like a perfect storm for the association world, for sure. You have the three main areas of your associations that you're really focused on are obviously dues revenue. You have your events, and then non-dues and all the other activities that you do. Well, pretty much, everything is in jeopardy right now, at risk, and it's very scary for the association world. So I was wondering, what have you seen out there, Scott, as far as, membership? Have you heard from clients and other folks in your network?
I have been trying to track, without doing it scientifically or statistically, in a statistically valid way, I've been trying very, very hard to stay on top of what the association world is doing in regards to membership, whether it be renewal, whether it be recruitment, whether it be just communication. And honestly, it's all over the place. I see Daryl Walter on the call, and I know that Daryl posted after one of my posts that I posted out on LinkedIn or Facebook, that they're still sending out renewals and things are okay. I've seen other people, like ASAE included, who have extended everybody for 3 months. I think that as much as we can, we need to be on top of the unique things and the unique aspects of our own organizations and our own industries to make the decision about what's right. I don't think there is one size fits all right now. I wish I could say to everybody, send out your renewals, recruit, don't extend, don't grace period, don't offer discounts, don't whatever. But some industries are really struggling and some are actually okay. So we've got to, this is amongst other times, which I think this is true all year long, we need to make sure that we totally understand the needs of our audience right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I had in mind. But really, these are, there's a desperate need to meet the needs of the members right now. They're really, a lot of them are struggling. A lot of them are looking for specific resources and help. Maybe even legislatively, and getting out into the local areas, and just so many sectors are impacted and influenced by this. And so, I'm kind of wondering, maybe we can just throw it out there, and anyone that wants to raise their hand, or I think you should be able to unmute yourself. Please tell us what kind of challenges or what's, keeping you up at night right now, other than the fact that there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah, just to interrupt real quick, Dan, I want everybody to join in, but as we've all seen with Zoom and with everybody being able to unmute, this may get a little bit crazy for a few minutes or so, but don't let that stop you from sharing, because I do truly believe that the more we can let others in the association space know what we're up to, the better off we're all going to be. Because with my clients, at least a couple of them reached out to me and said, what do you see? What is happening? What are people doing? And so the more data we can share, even if it's just analogous data that somebody says, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that, it's still very, very important, because we can all help each other.
Right. And, some of the questions that are showing up in chat right now, determining whether to cancel events even in October, and not sure what to do there. There's one, Nikki says, we're a county medical association in California. All of our members are physicians. So it's been a challenge. Yeah. I mean, you can see that, like, in the healthcare world, there's, a lot of impact that they're having. It could be very good for the association that's representing them. Yet it's a real challenge, especially when you may have to put those renewals on hold, or freeze a bunch of memberships while we wait to see what happens. I know that the small business world and others are really having a struggle, I'm sure, at this point, with membership. What other questions? Anyone unmuted? Brian? Hey, Brian.
Sure. Hi. So you too. Our members are the IT departments in school districts. So a lot of them have had to pivot to their online learning plans for those that had them. But as I'm sure any of you with kids know, school districts are struggling right now to get everybody online. And so normally I would have sent out our renewals right after our annual conference, which was supposed to be March 16th. I've been putting that off. We also have a new AMS, so we're launching it for the first time on that. And we've had one or two districts reach out to us asking us about an invoice for next year because they're trying to plan their budget. And so I've decided to use that as the messaging that some districts are asking us about the status of their membership, and to reiterate, your membership is good through June 30th. The grace period is through September 30th. If you'd like to pay now, if you'd like to renew now, here's how you do that. So this is information for you, but we're not hounding you for dues at this point. This is just for your preparation.
Right. No, that's fantastic. I like that you kind of turned it back around and used it for messaging. I think that's a great idea. I also know I'm in the food industry with my association, and they're just really going full blast right now and really focused on that. So it's really, we've kind of held back on doing renewals because we feel that we just need to support them at this time and not really try to figure out transactions. Yet what's also amazing is that that there's these, like the food service restaurants that are being shut down. They're connecting with us to make sure that supplies are, their supplies are getting into the supply chain for the retail grocery stores. So there may be connections to what's going on, in the healthcare industry and others, where your industry or sector may be able to get involved, and that's kind of where the association can step in and make those connections possibly. So I just throw that out as an idea, because I think some associations are scrambling under trying to figure out how do we where's the opportunity here in this crisis. So some other questions that are out there, or anyone that wants to unmute, feel free. This is an open discussion.
I can tell you what we're doing. So I'm with Solid Waste Association of North America, and a couple things. As Scott mentioned, we did send out renewals, but I totally rewrote the renewal. And one of the things that we're doing is we provided a safety webinar last week. Solid waste is on the front lines. They're still going down your street every week and picking up trash. So we did a webinar last week on safety. We have another one this week and how the impacts on the business side. We have them planned throughout the rest of the month. So, and one of the things is really keeping relevant in front of your members and being a resource for them. But I did send out renewals, but my renewals previously, it was a combination of email and mail. Of course, now we're just going straight email. We wrote those. And then another thing is we had a direct mail campaign scheduled for early May. That one I dropped just because, a good number of our people are still going to the office, but there's still a lot that are not going. So I don't, and I don't want to mail it, to just sit there, for who knows how long. It could be 50 days, 90 days. So we did trash that as far as, but we still, and the other thing is we had a conference planned March 22nd. We are looking at moving it to the end of July, but even with that, with the move, it's going to be, it's going to be soft until probably mid-June till we know if we're going to actually go through with it.
Wow. Yeah. And that, all this wait and see is just, it's very frustrating, I'm sure, for a lot. But I really like that you took what I've been finding is that, a lot of the associations and from my witnessing of where I am, there's a lot of innovation and technology spiking up right away. Let's try to get a virtual event. Let's change up the renewal messaging right away before it goes out. Those are like, everyone's jumping to make changes and innovate very quickly. And it's almost like wartime, it's in wartime, all the technology spikes up and all these innovations happen. So what,
I think Daryl brought up an interesting point about mail, and Nicole, who I'm guessing may be in the room right next to you right now, Dan, if not sitting right next to you, asked a question about what are we seeing with mail right now? And I think that's a very interesting question. And I see that there's a couple of people who on the supply or industry partner side do mail. So I'd love to hear what they're sort of seeing as well. Are people getting mail? It's like, and this goes back to a core question I think that a lot of associations need to ask themselves and should have asked themselves a long time ago in regards to data. Do you have alternate addresses for people? Or do you have one contact, one address, right? I don't want to dig too deep into that, but I know that the associations I used to work at and my clients now, I can pretty much guarantee you there was one address, one point of contact, one address.
Right.
And so if that person is not getting into the office or they haven't figured out a way to forward mail so that it's going to that person. And the other thing that I think we need to realize right now about all of this, and this hit home to me yesterday when I heard of a couple people that were laid off. Our primary contact may not be working there anymore, or may not be working there right now.
Right.
I mean, I know a couple people who were furloughed to save money. It was only like a 2 to 4 week furlough, but they're not going to get their stuff right now.
No, they can't. Yeah.
It goes back to the importance of us when things get back to normal, of making sure that we have better contact information.
Right.
But so, yeah, I mean, I think there are concerns with mail. I think there's always concerns with mail because you only get a certain number of responses for the amount of money that you spend. But I still think there is a role, and it's going to depend on your industry. That if it's all individuals and you have a lot in your organization, if you have a lot of home information or personal information, then you're going to still get in front of people.
Yeah.
If it's corporate, you may or may not, depending on your industry, because businesses still need to function. They still need to operate. So somebody needs to get this mail, right? Somebody needs to get it. So is that a good thing or a bad thing right now? I don't know. But I would love to hear, I see Alan, you're on here, you thumbs up. Do you have any examples of what you're seeing in the real world right now? And you need to unmute yourself before you talk, because I see you getting ready to talk. There you go.
There we go. Here we go. So a lot of our customers have scaled back their direct mail efforts. We're doing some work with trade associations. We do a lot of work with religious organizations, local business, and smaller nonprofits and private schools. Some of them have pulled back in the direct mail realm, mostly due to funds. I think it's an ease of use where they find it much easier to just engage via the web and send out emails. And while I am not going to discourage that, I've been in this business, direct mail specifically, for 30 plus years. I can give you tried and true example after example, whether it was a large nonprofit, a large retail customer, that when they scaled back their direct mail efforts, their renewals went down, their retention rates went down, their memberships went down, every aspect of their business went downward because they got away from direct mail. What I frequently find myself talking to folks about these days, and specifically our clients, is twofold. One is, yesterday alone, I had this conversation with a prospective customer and said, I've received 50 emails between 7 a.m. and the time I was having this conversation, which was about right now where we're 1 o'clock Eastern time. 50 emails. By the end of the day, I had another 50. That doesn't include the ones that I deleted just because I deleted and never looked at. So my point being is that your customers, if you're emailing them, are getting inundated with email. So you're just another message to them. Now, to your point, Scott, we don't have alternative addresses, and that's something that I think we're all going to have to pivot on in terms of how we get alternative data for our members and prospective members that might be moving on. And here's why. I can tell you Mondays are always the biggest mail day because for obvious reasons, you got the people mailing on Friday, delays over the weekend, etc. But the rest of the week, look in your mailbox. I got 2 pieces of mail today. Tomorrow, I guarantee you, it's going to be 2 or 3 pieces of mail. Folks, everybody's home.
Right.
Hit them where they are. It's got staying power. It's on your desk. And more importantly, there are ways where you can integrate the digital world into direct mail, whether it's informed delivery, whether it's tracking your mail, whether it's embedding a personalized URL in the text of a letter or renewal effort, using a QR code. There are so many ways that you can use the digital world combined with the direct mail world and bring it full circle, that you can create a landing page to capture the data that you're specifically interested in getting. And now you're avoiding all the clutter because you're one of 3 mail pieces, and all your customers are all your customers, members, prospective customers are all right there. So it's kind of difficult to make that transition right now. But for the specific example, we have our synagogues. They're sending out Passover greetings now. Churches are sending out Easter greetings. Churches and synagogues are putting up, we're doing large format banners and signage, promoting their website and just good positivity messaging during this time of a health pandemic.
Right.
So people are doing things. It's just a matter of getting creative and how do you do that?
Right.
I would just recommend moving forward from an association standpoint, try and get alternative data, especially if most of your members are business associates and business, B2B customers. That's where it's more challenging for us. We have a lot of religious organizations and schools. They have home addresses. So they're still able to use the power of mail. It's trying to make them aware that it's still another channel that they shouldn't just arbitrarily throw by the wayside because there's a cost associated.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it always comes back to the data, doesn't it? It always comes back to whether you have the data and whether what you can take action on and what you can't take action on. And I was kind of wondering, with the channels that you have available, like, the direct mail, I agree with you that that there's not much coming in the mail. I mean, those credit card companies have stopped working, I guess. But one of the things I was wondering is that how would you put together a direct mail campaign in your home, alone? It's kind of difficult because maybe your vendors are shut down. I also wonder, though, the channels. I wonder about video. Is anyone out there putting out video messages or using their YouTube channel or anything like that? Really curious about that channel, because that seems to be the one that can be used pretty effectively right now.
Yeah, and Dan, to follow up with that, Brian, hold on one sec. To follow up on that question, one of the things that I keep thinking about is, let's just call it digital marketing, but retargeting, lookalike campaigns. I mean, I heard a while ago, I think it was an ASAE meeting, where somebody took all of their email addresses and worked with LinkedIn to dump them in, and then they were able to send renewal notices or renewal ads to people. And maybe that's the way to do it, because I agree with what Alan said. We are being bombarded with email. I could sign up for a webinar every half an hour of the day from now until 2021 if I wanted to. And scarily as sometimes I do, but I do think that we need to be creative, as Alan mentioned. And so, Brian, go ahead with what you were going to say.
It's not part of the membership renewal process, but for engagement, we've started these informal chats every Thursday night on Zoom, where our members can talk to each other and just get that peer-to-peer engagement going and discuss what the problems that they're facing, the challenges, and brainstorm solutions. And so just by providing that, it's kind of, I like to think, helping them keep engaged with each other and putting us in a good light as well.
Hey, Scott, there could also be in terms of using the use of email, that you could create a landing or capture page, send out an email to your members, current members or members that are about to renew, and see if you can alternatively capture their alternative address via email and see if they'd be open to it. I'm sure you'd probably get some opt-in for capturing some of that messaging that you could send directly to their home address if they would be open to that. Certainly something to consider anyway.
Is there anybody out there who's doing something that they think is real kind of creative or just brand new? And it may not be brand new, but is there anything that sort of we were forced into doing? And I say forced kind of loosely, but we were forced into doing because of what's going on. And I'm talking about communication, whether it be recruitment, retention, engagement. I see a lot of ideas coming up in the chat. We miss you videos from VSAE, reaching out to members to see if they're interested in doing a 5-minute interview or share tips for other members to use. That's all fantastic. But is there anything that sort of we're being pushed to do right now that somebody wants to share?
I work for a healthcare association, Allied Health Professionals, and they, our members are experiencing different things in different parts of the country and kind of been trying to benchmark against each other effectively, but unable to do so. We're a much smaller profession, pediatric specific, so just not rising to the top of the national conversation necessarily. So we're currently undergoing a large survey and data project to help them see what their peers are doing, because a lot of their administrators are asking for, what's the rest of your industry doing before making decisions about, keeping them in the hospitals, whether they get PPE or not. So that's one thing that was not at all on our radar for this year, but has risen to the top of the pile at this point.
Cool. Thanks, Megan. Anybody else, or or the rest of you guys just want to hear some? You wanted to have some like colleagues who are struggling through the same membership challenges we all are right now.
Well, some of it is just reallocating resources. So yes, we're getting a ton of email, but also the other thing is people are spending a lot more time online. So I've increased my remarketing budget because people are going to be. So I'm doing remarketing for new acquisition, but I'm also remarketing the my people that are renewals right now. So the people that are in the renewal cycle are going to see renewal efforts through renewal through Facebook.
Awesome.
That's cool.
That's great. I see, and you can tell me if you want to answer or not. I don't know who E. Morris is. I apologize, but you say that you're really pushing out and utilizing social media right now. I would love to hear more about what you're doing.
That'd be great.
If you want to just tell me to beat it, just write in the chat, Scott, beat it, and I don't want to talk.
No, that's me. Hi, it's Elizabeth. Actually, I work for CUR, which is the Council on Undergraduate Research, and we actually have a very small marketing budget.
You, unfortunately, I saw you were there. Oh, there you go.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I work for the Council on Undergraduate Research, and we have a really small marketing budget. And so we have our members are mainly faculty who work at campuses and universities that are, as everyone knows, closed down right now. And so they are moving towards learning and teaching virtually to their students. And doing undergraduate research is really, really difficult online. And so they have kind of come back to our community in a sense to talk with other members or other faculty that are moving and what their campuses are doing. At this point in time, this semester is ending, and so a lot of their poster sessions, which should have been presented in person, are moving to virtual poster sessions. And so we have teamed up with a bunch of universities to just retweet and share out what their messaging is, what their toolkits are, so that people from our other members can understand that via social media. We've also sent out like heartwarming and heartfelt messages to make sure that they're aware. We've opened up our community so that they can, to non-members till a certain date, so that they can come on and see what our members are actually talking about. And that's kind of our recruitment tool right now, is instead of asking people for money, which they don't have, we are opening up our community and opening up our resources until the end of this month. So, and collecting their email addresses, showing that they are a free member for now. And then at the end of this month, we reach out to them and say, I hope you received, the research or the resources that you were needing in order to continue to gain the knowledge and community behind you. You can join CUR for this amount and this rate. But for social media, we started the 5 and 5 videos via YouTube, which is that interview and 5 tips, but it's mainly about converting online or in-person teaching for undergraduate research into online interviews to kind of just help those resources for our members.
Yeah, a lot of that is, in the follow-up, as you mentioned, just to kind of keep connected and keep communications going.
Hi, this is Nikki Mendez. I just wanted to jump in very quickly because what I mentioned in the chat is I work for a local county medical association. I'm the membership director. Right now, we are at a standstill because our doctors, they're just trying to get things taken care of. And even those doctors that may not be on the front lines, we are encouraging them to do some type of volunteer work. Our state association has set up a website, or not a website, but a web page in order to try to recruit physicians that may not currently be on the front lines, as well as retired physicians and healthcare workers to volunteer to go to rural areas or areas that may not have a lot of physicians. We're also trying to work with a telehealth organization that provides assistance, not just in the US, but around the world for folks that may just have nurses or nurse practitioners, so having physicians on hand to coordinate with that. But one of the things that I'm hearing on this chat, even if you don't have, you're not in an industry that is directly on the front line of COVID-19, is there is a ripple effect. For example, you had mentioned, I think it was Dan or Scott mentioned, you're in the food service industry, and that is certainly having, and seeing major effects during this time. Everybody's had to really switch up their normal. One thing that I would like to encourage, and we try to do this, is mental health type of messages that are going there. And I'm not saying this that we preach mental health, even though we do have psychiatrists as part of our organization, but these stressors are affecting people. So being able to show them that there are resources out there, whether it's Happify or whether it's Talkspace, or whether it is some messages about where to do resources, if it's meditation or if it's yoga, or just being able to talk to somebody. With physicians, I know that there is a stigma, because if they do go to a psychiatrist does have to report that information to the medical board. But if they go to a psychologist, that's not the case. That's just one of the ways that we try to get around that, is by, having them look at what psychologists write. And if they want to get in touch with them, that's one thing. But there is going to be a need down the line, I think, for a number of people, just for everyday stressors, whether it's I'm working at home, but I'm here all day with my husband and I'm not really used to that. So, or if you've got children, just everyday stressors. And then if you can't get supplies or you can't get business, these small business owners, independent contractors, 1099ers, if they're part of your membership makeup, they may need to have some type of support in the mental health area, and the sooner rather than later, so it doesn't build up. And that's one way that's one way you can show that you do care about them holistically.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, and it's kind of showing up in the chat as well, is that, if they're, if you're out there and making sure you're available for them to know that you're the go-to place for resources and support and the things that they need in this crisis, then your association is doing well to do that, to get in front of them and make sure that they see, that Heather's mentioning, like town halls, virtual town halls, and somehow getting that connection made with them, even though they're all separated and social distanced. You want to try to make sure that happens. Well, and it looks like we're running out of time. We went over already a couple minutes, and it's going to cut us off if not. So, I think that the online community chat that you've talked about here, Scott answering that was great. That was one thing I was wondering about too. So we're Scott, if you're out there, I think I'm still online. Yeah, good. We're going to try to do this again. Really soon, hopefully, to try to keep this going, because things are happening so quickly out there as well, and we want to do as much sharing as possible. This 30 minutes went by way too quick.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I was going to ask that question if you guys want to do it again. I think there is value. I think there's a lot of this going on right now, but the fact that we got, Dan, you can tell how many people, let's say 30 to 35 people, even if we get together for a half an hour, that would be fantastic. One of the things, and Dan and I can both put our emails into the chat. One of the things I would say is, because I know sometimes we don't want to share, sometimes in this format, sort of like we used to have the old conference call days where you're worried about talking over other people. Any questions you might have that you want input on, send them to Dan or I or both, and then for the next call, we'll sort of line those up in advance so that we can say, all right, somebody asked about this, somebody asked about that, because I think that will be, this has been a great use of our time, I believe, but I think that will be an even better use of our time.
Right. Yeah, we can kind of queue it up and throw those out as topics to discuss as a group. So, well, thank you everyone for being here, and really appreciate it. Thank you, Scott, for your time and this meeting of the Membership Minds again. And we hope to continue to do that. And do this regularly. We'll keep you in touch. We have you on our lists, and keep watching our social media. Scott and I will make sure to coordinate on this, and really appreciate this. This is really exactly what I needed as a membership professional, just to hear what's going on and understand that, but also be a part of a group that is focused on this. So thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I just want to respond to somebody here. Okay.
Okay.
Make sure
I saw
that
Donna.
she's here.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna. Kathy was here too. Hold on.
Yes, I saw
Make
Kathy
sure that
there.
you send us your email if you aren't on our list. Transcript. Send to.
Well, Scott, I'm glad we got a bunch of people talking. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great.
That was good. Okay. Thanks, Dan. I just wanted to make sure I got that out.
Well,
I don't
thanks
know if it went
everybody.
fast enough,
That's still
but-
left.
Donna's there for good for the last drop. She wants to wait
Donna.
and see if any highlights at the very end.
We know Donna. She's just
Donna.
saying hi.
Donna and I worked together at one of my previous lives. So yeah, she's awesome. Oh, we can't hear you,
Oh,
Donna.
can't hear you.
You said one of your previous lives, huh?
Oh yeah, I've got many. I've got many.
I'm pretty sure Dan was Donna's boss and Donna was my boss at one
Right.
point.
That's,
too.
right.
funny.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's exactly right.
Forgot about that.
I just wanted to say hi, Scott. How are
Oh,
you?
there's
I'm
Carolyn.
good, Carolyn. How are you?
Good. I work from home all the time, so that hasn't been a huge thing for me. Except my daughter and husband are with me.
Yeah, I had to break the bad news to the smallest one here who's trying to print out all her schoolwork, and the printer sits on my desk. And you should have seen the reaction that I got when it was, can you do me a favor and not print anything for about a half an hour? Like, what? My world is going to explode. I'm like, no, I'll be good. Don't worry.
If I could only say to the dog, can you do me a favor and not bark at the people walking by?
Right.
Scott, I gave my kids my extra laptop that I would use for clients so that they can do their schoolwork. And somehow they've managed to completely turn the screen upside down. I can't even figure it out. And now I have to try to play IT support here. So
That's
yes.
funny.
I mean, I'm used to having Dan home, but now we've got multiple children. So.
Right.
Yeah, besides the large child, you've
The
got
large
other.
child. Right.
Exactly. Scott, thank you so much.
Yes, thanks
my
for
pleasure.
doing this. Sorry I was late.
All right.
See you on
Good
the next
seeing
one.
you all.
Yeah. See you
Donna,
guys.
don't
Bye,
hesitate.
Donna.
Reach out if you need anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime.
Bye.
All right.
Good to see your
Thanks,
face.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.